Hey everybody, welcome back to another 1986 944 video. And this week, I'm going to replace this. This is the multi-function turn signal, wipers, cruise control stock, control unit. And to do that, I need to remove the steering wheel and probably a couple other trim pieces. So stay tuned. All right, here inside the car, got to remove the horn pad, then the steering wheel, and then I think some trim pieces around it. I think maybe this trim piece right here with the headlight switch. I should be able to access that unit. And the reason I need to replace it is because the headlights are permanently stuck in the high position. And this is a pretty common failure on this car, on these 944s and maybe 924s as well. And this car is no exception. So the low beams work, but you can tell there's a short in this switch right here. So what happens is the high beams are always on. Let me see if I can make that happen here. So you can see the headlights are on, but when I toggle the switch, they don't want to work. All right, let's get started. Off your horn pad, and this just releases by pulling on one side. You got to pull pretty firmly, and it feels like you might break it, but then the whole thing just pops off. And in doing so, the horn wire disconnected. And you can see in there, maybe you can't. I think that is a 24 millimeter. So, yeah, I don't know if you can see in there. Anyway, make sure you have a 24 millimeter before you start this job. Make your life a lot easier. Got the steering wheel nut removed, and boy did I luck out, because this bit on my breaker bar just barely fit in there. But it was not a problem at all. So this just goes and pulls right off, which allows me access to that. So I'm gonna grab a Phillips head screwdriver, take off that plastic trim, and then I'm hoping this should be pretty easy. Oh, also, you may notice I got this cover lay, and it's just sitting here in place. It's not actually secured down, and it's a little bit loose, and that's on purpose because I am also going to remove this gauge cluster and replace the bulbs in there with LEDs. So I didn't want to, I guess adhere this down until I've got that going on, just in case I needed, in case it was going to be in the way for this. But this cover lay does really look a whole lot better, even though it's just kind of sitting up here. Much better than a cracked dash. Plastic bezel came off with just 3 screws, and I'm going to take this opportunity to go ahead and clean this up, since this has probably not been off the car for 34 years. Anyway, I'll clean this up, and then I'll figure out what I need to actually remove this. Okay, on the old one and on the new one, on the bottom, there is this collar right here. It goes around, and it has that nut on it, which is an 8 millimeter. So it's right there. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to it without taking this trim off. So looks like I'm going to have to do that probably carefully. I don't want to hate to remove this trim any more than I have to, just because it's so old and it's all plastic. So I guess I don't really have a choice. I'll have to remove that. I don't know about this side, we'll see. Actually, with just an extension, I was able to reach it. So you loosen this and pop this old one off. Unplug it. Well, I'm not sure where I left off, but I'm trying to get this separated. This had this old foam tape wrapped around it, seemingly so it wouldn't rattle inside there. but I can't even tell how to actually separate this. So I gotta pull all this tape off, and it's all disintegrating. There's a big pile of it down there. So I can figure out how to unplug this, because the new one needs to plug into this. Those just separated with just a flat blade screwdriver behind them. Very easy. So this, and then I can reassemble. I have to admit, getting this separated was the hardest part of this job. It's got these two clips on the side that you have to spread apart at the same time and then separate the two plugs. You definitely have to take off all that foam tape. There's no way you can even see what you're doing with that on there. So now that that's plugged in, just a matter of reinstalling the new one. I'll get everything put back together. I'm not going to install the steering wheel today because I do plan on refinishing that in part 2 of this particular video. So let me get this put back together. Got all the wires plugged in the back, and this just is held on with a pressure fit, and you want to make sure it's nice and even, because once you tighten that nut down again, it'll be cinched in place. I'll do that, put the trim around it, and that'll pretty much be it for this part of the video. The trim is all put back together. Moment of truth. Let's see if this U switch works like the seller said it did. Gotta turn the car on for the headlights to go on, and flip the switch. That's a good sign. The brights are not on. Brights are on. Brights are off. Flash. And the headlights work properly. Turn those off. Turn the car off so it stops dinging. That's good. I'm glad to have that done. Now for part 2, which will be next week. Stay tuned, because once I have the steering wheel off, or since I have it off, I should say, I'm gonna go ahead and clean it up really good. I'm gonna kind of sand it down and refinish it with some vinyl and leather paint, because it's a little bit of wear on the top. So that'll do it for this week. Let me know if you have any questions. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions about this process. It's actually very simple. All in all, probably take about 30 minutes. Not a big deal. And as always, we'll catch you on the flip side.